Conference will now be recorded.
6 a.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2025. This is a hybrid format meeting of the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists. Welcome to those joining in person at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Salem and those attending remotely. Members of the public attending via GoToMeeting, please include your name and, if you're an LMT, your license number in your signature line. Non-LMTs, please include the organization you're representing. I would like to ask the public attendees to please keep your camera and microphone turned off except when asked by the chair to speak during the roll and public comment periods. Additionally, the recording system is very sensitive, so while it is recording, please avoid side conversations, talking over one another, and noisy disruptions. Go ahead and move on to introductions. We'll begin with board members, then staff, and finally members of the public. Please state your name, title or license number, and the city you're from. Beckett Rowan, board chair and LMT member, and my practice is in Eugene.
Maria Odell, vice chair, public member, Lebanon.
Danica Patrick, board member, and my practice is in Gresham.
Carol Gray, LMT board member, Portland.
I'm Bob Ruark. I'm the executive director for the board.
Jeff Van Allen, licensing and compliance manager for the board.
Mitch Breedlove, compliance specialist for the board.
Gaitu Dasineta Haruna, policy analyst for the board.
Angie Hunt, board legal counsel.
I can't see anybody.
Do you want to start from the inside?
We don't have,
We don't.
Melissa's not here?
No, she's not. I don't see her.
Sorry.
No, my name is Guillermo Ortega, representing Hannon Stone Massage and Facial Spa.
Okay, can you call on people on?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Davido? Okay, we'll get back to Davido. Daniel Steinmetz?
Daniel Steinmetz, Oregon license 5948.
Thank you. Seth Dingle?
Dingle, government relations specialist with the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards.
Mark, can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Mark Greif. I'm a contract investigator for the Oregon Board of Massage Therapy.
Christine Huber, can you please unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, Christine Huber with the American Massage Therapy Association and the Government Relations Department.
Okay. And while driving carefully, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Andy Katreva, license number Oregon 10539. I'm a massage therapist in Salem.
Salem, perfect, thank you. Okay. Davido, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
I think there's something wrong with his mic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll come back to you. Katie Cagle, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Katie. I use she, her pronouns. I am a massage therapist in Oregon and excited to hear the business today's meeting. Thanks.
Welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I think that's everybody for now, except for Davido.
Okay, thank you. We go ahead and approve today's agenda. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be made at this time? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Go ahead and give it to you for your first one. I know you got it. Yeah. So you got your first one under your belt. All in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda is approved. Perfect. Well done. Is there any discussion regarding the minutes from the September 19th and 20th, 2025 board meeting?
I just want to thank Rogue Community College again for hosting us. That was fantastic. So thank you. And thanks for everybody that set it up and everything. Thank you.
It was. Any comments about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved. And I just want to say that because we only have 4 board members, including myself, we're at our minimum. So we're going to be voting and seconding and motioning a lot today. So don't hesitate to jump in with those, the board members. We'll go ahead and get right into it with board business. I'll turn it over to Director Ruark.
Thank you. So attached to the board packet, you will see the director's report, and there's a profit and loss budget versus actual statement in there. So I'll talk a little bit about that. As of October 31st, 2025, which is 4 months into our 25-27 biennium, the board's budget outlook is pretty favorable. That attached profit loss budget versus actual report. It outlines the board's income and expenses from July 1, 2025 to October 31st, 2025. A little explanation, the right column of this report is what we budgeted for this period. So that's the budget estimate. Both income on the top and expenses on the bottom. And the left numbered column is actual income and expenses for the period. So you can compare the two. We're going to focus on the top section, income. You'll see that we're within approximately 1% of our income projections for this period, with our income being approximately $6,000 greater than projected. The bottom section, expenses, you'll see that we're within 5% of our expense projections for this period, with expenses being approximately $23,000 less than projected. At the bottom of the report in the left column, which is our actual expenses for the biennium, you will find a couple of adjustments, the last 3 items. We have not been billed for payroll for September or October of this year. In fact, Friday after I wrote this, we got September's payroll projection. So, but we haven't gotten October's yet. So adding those adjustments, which are labeled on this report as unbilled payroll estimates, you'll find a revised total of actual expenses of $444,023, which, as stated above, is approximately 5% less than budgeted for this period in the biennium. With our income being approximately 1% greater than budgeted, expenses being approximately 5% less than budgeted, we have approximately $56,000 at this point in the biennium to add to our reserves. Our reserves were fairly depleted, so we were down to less than 2 months. The current balance of the board's account minus projected payroll expenses for September and October is approximately $211,053, which represents just over 2 months of working capital. So we went from about 1 month, just a little over 1 month, to 2 months of working capital so far this biennium.
And ideally, we want to stay at about 6 months.
Yeah, the minimum 5. Really, what we want to have is about 6 months of working capital. I'd be very happy with 5 and not 1 like I had for a while there. So, any other questions about our financial report? Okay, I'll move on to staffing. And I think Jeff might talk a little bit more about this. The board compliance department is in the process of contracting with a few private investigators to backfill our cadre of investigators, which has been depleted due to retirements and resignations. He'll have further information on that. That's pretty much all we have for staffing, with the exception of what I'll talk about. The next one is our board member recruitment. For the first time in several years, our board is fully staffed with board members. Yes. It's been a journey. I'd like to welcome our new board member, LMT Danica Patchett, who's attending their first board meeting today. Welcome to LMT. Any questions about that?
Welcome.
Okay, so move on to board business meeting update. So attached to this report, you'll find an updated list. There's a couple of things. The very top is board assigned duties. So at the board business meeting, we went through, the board went through and assigned individuals to different committees and the legislative contacts and things like that. So that is on the very top. That's our current board assigned duties. Also, lastly on the bottom, you'll find the board that the board assigned to the rules committee at the September meeting. The topic. These are list topics as the committee set meeting dates, which are being discussed now. Board staff will provide those white papers and explanations about things. That information will be transferred to the committees with direction the board gave to me about how they wanted them to move forward. That has been assigned to the rules committee is Senate Bill 3819, basically adding some language to the rules regarding the felony law, adding a placard and the civil penalty language. Facility permits, I talked to the board about moving our facility permits from being a one-time facility permit to make it renewable, so we can track them a little better. The board talked about moving the BLS requirement and going back to CPR. Add mandatory reporter training as a CE, and we're going to approach that. There's a correspondence in here that's connected with this review rules regarding expired licenses. The way the rules are written right now, and I talked to this at the business meeting, it requires individuals to sort of catch up their license if they're more than two periods. Yeah, more than 3 periods, up to 3 periods. So removed, 3 years, sorry, up to 3 years removed from when their license expired or lapsed. It's just written poorly. It requires some undue burden on our licensees. And it's something that we're talking about when I took over as director changing. And so there'll be some correction for rules committee about how to fix that. And then the board also wants the rules committee to look at clarifying rules around dual relationships. Take a look at that and see what the rules committee can do with that. So, any questions about that?
I have a question,
Also,
not
September.
exactly, but I don't know if this is true for other people that are connecting remotely, but the sound is cutting out constantly, and it's really hard for me to understand you. I mean, I've read your report. Okay, I got another yes. So yeah, there's it sounds like you have kind of a short in your mic. Yeah, it sounds like you have a short in your mic.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carl. Is there anything we can do with Kathy regarding that? Sure.
Let's see.
On that, but let's go ahead and move on while I come in.
Is that good?
Is that any better?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I mean, as perfect as it can be.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
At the September business meeting, the board directed staff to set up at least 2 online Q&A meetings for our licensees, stakeholders, and interested parties. Those dates have been set. The first meeting will be held on January 20th, 2026, and the second will be held on April 21st, 2026. The meetings will be online and will be approximately 1 hour long. They'll be advertised, posted, and for all of our licensing and interested parties. So this is something that was very beneficial. We've had one of those as kind of a trial. And how it works is we have all of our staff go online and just basically answer questions or be a resource for our licensees or pretty much anybody that wants to attend. It worked out really well last time. I think we had some great feedback, and I think our staff, as well as our licensees, are looking forward to doing that coming in January. Another thing, the board business meeting, the board wanted us to do a survey. The survey will include questions regarding the most effective communication with the board and a geographical information about where our licensees are at. The purpose of the survey is so the board can get a sense from our licensees, our stakeholders, and interested parties as to the most effective means of communicating important information to them. And it gives us an idea of the geographical location of where we're at, how many licensees we have in certain locations and things like that. So I'm working on that survey. It's not a huge survey, but it's a little, surveys are kind of cumbersome to write. You want to make sure you get the right language and that kind of stuff. So I will have that rolled out for the board to review at the next board meeting. Any questions about that?
Doesn't look like any at this point. Okay, that's it on that update. We'll go ahead and turn it over to Jeff for compliance.
Thank you, Chair. For licensure, I wanted to let the board know that we had our first petition for predetermination last month, which was timely since we just finished formalizing the rules and all on that. The new forms that we developed worked well. We were able to take our process for this first one and build a policy, an internal policy on how to process these step by step. And I'm not bringing it to the board because it was one of those ones that staff is able to evaluate without board input. And we were able to send them an advisory letter saying that based on, with all the disclaimers, based on everything that was presented to board staff, that their criminal history at this time would not prevent them from licensure. Just want to let you know we had our first one. We might be one of the first ones in the state for all I know. I don't know if the other boards are getting many of those or not. In addition to that, I did a check with licensure staff about anything else notable. And Rowena pointed out that last month's renewal process has resulted in only one renewal applicant not completing the entire process before the renewal window closed. And I know to the public that might not make sense, but it's actually quite an achievement because we have very little control over that other than our communication, our ability to respond to questions, to get lost or missing CDs done quickly, collect fees and stuff that might have been overlooked, clean up renewal applications that weren't done properly and everything. And so that goes a lot to Rowena mostly and the rest of the licensure staff to be having that kind of communication, as well as our LMTs who I assume also did a really good job that month of getting their renewals incomplete the first time. On the compliance side, as Director Ruark alluded to, Mitch and I have been working on filling anticipated vacancies in our contracted investigator pool. Long story short, we found the best and apparently only way to reach out to licensed PIs in the state through their mailing list, because they don't maintain an email one. And so we had to send out paper letters. And in response to our paper letters, we got hundreds of PIs that expressed interest. 547 and about maybe 150 came back as interested. And I still get some people in didn't get the email till later. So We jumped on that. It was great to see. And after narrowing the pool through taking in resumes, Mitch and I conducted interviews last week of those that we believe had both the knowledge and skills that the board requires, as well as they were stationed or operated in the geographical areas that the board needs coverage in. And those in-person interviews, we have selected 3 to move forward with offering them contracts, and we're in the process now of getting those contracts filled out, and there's supporting materials over to the Cayete to review, and then hopefully we'll be bringing 3 new contractors on for in-field training and all that in the near future. So we'll see some new names on our investigative reports.
I gotta jump in and interrupt. The audio
Is
is
this something we can maintain?
the audio is cutting out again. Those of us who are remote can barely make out what you're saying.
We're experiencing the same thing in return from your audio as well, so I'm thinking it might be an internet connection issue on our side, perhaps. Or can I?
If I might interject, sometimes
Please.
if you can enhance your diction and speak slowly and more clearly, sometimes that will overcome the online issues.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was about to ask you a question, yes. Is this something we can maintain a list of the interested parties that were maybe not geographically advantageous that we can reach out to if we do lose somebody in one of those areas?
Great question.
To kind of reduce the...
In fact, we probably have 3 piles right now of those that we didn't feel were adequately qualified. We have a large pile of those that were interested but didn't rise to the top that we're keeping on file. And I have sent them out information saying that they didn't make that initial interview cut, but that we would be keeping them on file for possible future needs. And then those that were not initially successful in the interview process have been also told that they still fit our criteria, and that if we had any future openings, we would be reaching out to them as well. So yes, now we have, at least for, I would say, the next year and a half, a nice pool of people that we could just send out another email or letter and say, are you still interested? We may have new opportunities.
Fantastic. For new member, when we're looking for investigators, we do try to spread them out geographically because they have to travel to individual massage establishments. It saves a lot of time, and they also have to be, and money, and they have to be private investigators that are licensed. So that's the pool we're looking at.
And on that line, we also look for their interest or experience in the massage industry. We've been lucky in the past to have a few of our PI investigators also as LMPs, which was helpful, but those are unicorns.
There you go.
We have found one that's in the process of making their contract application to us, whose sister is an active LMP, and so they do have, and it came out during the interviews, they do have considerable knowledge about the profession and understanding of it. So I think that'll be beneficial as well. Absolutely. Not to mention that the sister lives in a geographical location different from the PI and visits regularly, which means we have 2 geographic anchor points for that individual that will be beneficial to the board as well.
That's a bonus.
Very much so. And as they become contractors, then I will take more time to introduce you to each of them and their backgrounds. But right now, that would be premature.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very good news. Okay, if we're all done with compliance, let's turn it back over to Director Ruark for our SEIU summary.
So I only put this in mostly because of the financial impact on the board. And so you know that SEIU is the union that covers our employees here at OVMT. And there's some tentative agreements here. It's quite a long list. These agreements are, so it's a summary. It's for informational purposes only. The tentative agreements are subject to ratification votes by the union's members and will go into effect. They won't go into effect until they're ratified. The thing I want to point out is a couple pages down, the salary increases. This is what impacted us pretty heavily the last biennium. There was a rather large salary increase to catch up with inflation, and it had to do with COVID, and there was a lot of things going on. Last time, I only sort of put a 6%, projected a 6% increase, which is about standard. And I think we had 12 or 15% increase over the course of that, 13 over that biennium. So it did, it did affect us pretty heavily. Looks like the tentative agreement now is 6.5% COLA, which is what I projected 6%. So we're pretty close to the projections I made for this biennium. So I'm happy to say that, and of course that's a tentative agreement. We don't know if that's what's going to be voted on by the union until it's ratified. But this is just for informational purposes to let you know what's going on. Any questions about that at all?
Director Rourke, are we moving to the annual meeting update for FSMTV?
Yes, that'd be the next one. If there's no questions for me, so.
Okay, thank you. I can go ahead and just summarize the FSMTV update. I did not attend, but it looks like Scott English wrote up a summary.
No, I did.
You did? Oh, do you want to go ahead and do it?
I don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah, I thought Scott wrote it up. I was trying to be.
Scott's name's on that, but It's not Scott, it's me.
Okay, fantastic. Please.
And I was in attendance. So October 5th through the 7th, Director Rourke, Board Member Doug Giles, and myself all attended the 20th anniversary annual FSMTV meeting in Kansas City. This was their 20-year celebration, and so they held their meeting there at near their headquarters and put on some special birthday celebrations throughout the 3-day event. But mostly it was business as usual. Lots of networking opportunities, training and other events. Had a great keynote speaker about Generation Them. It was actually quite valuable. There was some open discussions on massage industry perspectives, updates on the education fraud, a review and understanding of the anti-regulation movement that was quite controversial, addressing trauma and in sexual misconduct complaint investigations, and the annual review of all the top legal trends and cases that are moving throughout different states. And being their annual meeting, FSMTV presented all their key annual reports and financial status, all of which were very positive. The days were long. I think when Bob and I reflected on it, we were working 10 to 12-hour days those days, but it was worth it. Lots of good stuff in that meeting, and Board Member Giles, in his first as a new board member, and also the first time going to the annual meeting and being the voting delegate, looked like he'd been there and done that 2 or 3 times before. It was fantastic. I don't think there was any business taking place that was unusual, or they voted for new board members and they voted for some committee members, all of which went smoothly. And I don't believe there was any significant changes to their paperwork, their policies and procedures or anything like that, or their rules.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Any questions about that meeting?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was a particularly light meeting for as far as rules and all that went. Okay. Then if we don't have anything else on that, we'll go ahead and move on to new business. Anyone have anything they would like to bring forward at this point? I think this is a place we're missing so many board members. I think I'm gonna put a pin in anything that we might have been talking about until we get everybody back, hopefully at our next meeting in 2026. Okay, if we don't have any new business to go over, we'll go ahead and move into the public comment section. We'll start with correspondence. We have 2 correspondence which were attached to the meeting minutes. Are there any comments from the board or staff on the correspondence?
I will say that the second one regarding lapse license renewal, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yes.
That's being worked on right now. Currently our rules, are spelled out that way. And so there's not much you can do about it because the rules, we have to follow our own rules. But it is being worked on. And then the top one is a request to the board. I had it come to the board because he addressed it specifically to the board. And if they have any comments on it or give me some direction on how to respond.
Is that one something we could share with the Rules Committee about when they're considering the CE review, having that information at hand to look at that and make a recommendation to the board?
Could basically, Scott, does anybody want to comment, first of all, on that first one about the lapsed license? Were there any comments from the board about that or any questions on that letter?
Rules in effect at the time, so we just have to follow the rules currently.
Yeah, there's not a lot we can do. And I assume you're reaching out to this person and letting them know that that's unfortunately where it is. Okay, so on to that second letter. Is that something the Rules Committee could look at?
Is it something the board wants the Rules Committee to consider?
Carol, did you have a thought?
Well, I can understand the hardship that this particular person is, speaking out. I can see the I don't know. I guess I'm curious to know how many people fall into that hole. How many people out there let their licenses lapse and then realize that, oh my gosh, I have to take up all that continuing education and all of those fees during the time that the license was lapsed in order to be reinstated. How many people are we looking at that would otherwise still have licenses who maybe just, slink away because they can't afford to catch up?
I'm sorry, Carol, I think maybe we had a little communication issue with our technology. That's the one that Director Ruar mentioned about already going to rules having to do with that lapse license and CEs. Unfortunately, at this moment, we have to follow our own rules. So this does affect people, and that's something the Rules Committee will be taking up, but it will not happen in time for this person who wrote the letter. And Director Rurak will communicate that. The one that we're talking about possibly sending to rules would be about the CE training. Do you teach a class and get CEs that are contact or non-contact?
Okay.
That's the one we're.
All right. So I totally understand the first one about, what it takes to take the life, and that's great. I have to say that I do have something to say about teaching a CE class, and the thing that's really interesting is that I personally have faced the same issue. I also teach a professional ethics class, that's accepted by Oregon legislators. And it's completely interactive, and I present scenarios and lead a group discussion about them. And I think it's ironic, at least, that I learned so much from teaching this so-called teaching this class, guiding the discussions, that it's unfortunate that I too have to take a separate continuing ed class for ethics, many of which I've found to be not necessarily high quality and not necessarily applicable to my profession or helpful. And so, but like that's what it is. I've accepted that. Okay.
So it sounds like we might be in sort of the same situation as the first letter, where in this regard, this is the rule as it stands, and that's how it needs to be enforced, but perhaps this is something we can send to the Rules Committee to review. I guess at this point, we would just need to decide if this is something we want to ask to go to the Rules Committee. Is that correct, Director Ruhr?
Yeah. Okay. So on a side note, the individual that's writing this, when these were written, these particular rules, that individual is the one that added teaching to this particular rule. I distinctly remember that. But it was added in this section and not in, contact hours or, and there was some discussion about that. I don't remember the details of it, but they ended up putting it in this, our non-contact or unsupervised hours.
We believe it.
Yeah, so if it's, if it's something that you would like to go to Rules Committee to have them do some research, and we can get the Rules Committee all the information they need regarding how many times this happens and things like that. And the Rules Committee can make a recommendation to the board, if you'd like to do that.
Any thoughts for any board members? I'm sort of a mixed mind on this one. I'm not opposed to the Rules Committee looking at it, but I could see a case for either leaving it as is, or reviewing it. So I'm feeling very neutral about this one. Does anybody?
Rules in effect at the time.
Well, I think we have to leave it for this person, but going forward, is this something we want to send to Rules to reevaluate?
We're reevaluating other stuff. This might be something we touch on as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be nice to just see what a committee does with it, and when we get a group of people with that are charged with this, to see what they can come up with. I like to check it. I feel ambivalent about it. I'm kind of okay either way, and I've experienced the exact same thing that the letter writer experienced.
Okay, at this point, can I get a motion to move this to provide direction to move this to the Rules Committee? And always remember, we don't have to, just because we move something, we don't have to vote to do it. We can vote not to. So I think that's probably the most expedient way to do this. Okay? If someone would move this to Rules.
Someone.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, give that one to Carol. Okay, all in favor of moving C development to the Rules Committee?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. 3 in favor, 1 opposed, motion carries. Go ahead and direct the Rules Committee to look at that. Okay. Unless anything else came in, that's all we had for correspondence? That's it, thank you. Okay, moving on to public comment. Public comment is limited to matters on the public meeting agenda or otherwise relevant to matters that come before this agency. Comments will not be allowed that are longer than the time allotted by the chair or are disruptive to the agency's conduct of its business. Any member of the public who would like to address the board, please turn your camera on. When called upon by the chair, please turn on your microphone and state your name and license number or association for the record. Please keep comments to 2 minutes or less. I will gently cut you off if you exceed that, just to let you know. So if you'd like to speak, please turn on your mic, and Akaite, could you call? I can't see names, so if you could call, that'd be great. Since we have someone in person.
Katie. Hi, Katie. Go on.
Hello. I just this is a process technical question, I guess, which is just that is it possible to turn off the microphone of y'all in the room? There's a battle happening between whoever's speaking remotely and then the microphone picking up the ambient noise in your room. So when Carol was talking earlier, I was having trouble hearing because the mic kept coming back to y'all's room. So I don't actually have a public comment, anything. I was just wondering if it's possible to turn off the mic in y'all's room while someone remote is speaking.
It is not possible because of the way that it has to be recorded for our minutes. So it actually has to keep going, unfortunately. And that's why we ask that people don't talk over one another, because there's nothing we can do about that. So thank you for asking. I'm sorry, I can't make it better. Anyone else? Okay, it looks like we don't have any other public comments at this time. If there's no one else wishing to speak, I'll go ahead and read us into executive session. Let me get some water first. The Oregon Board of Massage Therapists will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192660 to discuss certain matters on the agenda pursuant to ORS 192660 to F, to consider information or records that are exempt from by law from public inspection, ORS 192501 sub 4, to review and discuss and consider legal written advice provided by the Department of Justice pursuant to ORS 192660 to F, or to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed pursuant to ORS 192660 to H. To consider and discuss in executive session information obtained as part of an investigation of a licensee, applicant, or other person alleged to be practicing in violation of law pursuant to ORS 192660 2KL and ORS 676175. No decision may be made in the executive session. At the end of the executive session, the board will return to the open session and will welcome the audience back into the room. ORS 687-0815, prior to imposing a sanction under ORS 687-081 or any rule of the board shall consider, but is not limited to considering the following factors. A person's past history in observing the provisions of ORS 687-011 to 687-250, 687-895, and 687-991, and the rules of the board. B, the effect of the violation on public safety and welfare. C, the degree to which the action subject to sanction violates professional ethics and standards of practice. D, the economic and financial condition of the person subject to sanction. And E, any mitigating factors the board may choose to consider. I estimate that we will return to public session at approximately 11:30. That sound about right?
That allows us a 10-minute break.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Okay. So we will come back to public session at 11:30 a.m. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. If attending virtually, we will return back to this session at 11:30. So thank you for attending. I have you step out.
I really appreciate it.
And then we'll just go ahead and stop the recording.
It's very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Carol, we'll see you in the other meeting room.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you for attending.
No, thank you. Oh, have a good day.
Thank you. Can we stop the recording?